Over to Tottenham, Paul. 1 point in 6 matches in the Premier League for Ange. We've spoken a little bit about when he might be on the hot seat. Kind of all agree it would be the end of the year. But at what point does that end of the season hot seat actually become something a little bit more immediate?
When they're out of the League Cup, they're out of the FA Cup, and they fall out of the Europa League, then there's a problem. They sat 15th in the Premier League at the moment. 12 defeats this season. So you look at the league table. Listen, I've always said that I like him, and I like the way he speaks, and I like his honesty. But there becomes a point where we're in a results business. You wonder where the backing in the boardroom's coming from. You wonder, whether it's a split in the boardroom as to a decision on the manager's future. No other manager gets this long. I mean, there's a lot of people that are hanging the hat on 10 games at the start of last season. 10 games unbeaten, the new style of Tottenham will go and blow everybody away. Granted, the injuries, you look at the injury list: Johnson, Solanke, Basuma, Werner, Bentancur, Doggy, Romero, Van der Ven, Odebert, the 2 goalkeepers. Listen, you can go on all day about the injuries, but surely you've got to be a little bit more versatile and play a different way. Where you've got to get results. 3 wins in 15 in all competitions. Like I said, 12 defeats, the same as Ipswich. Only Southampton, Leicester and Wolves have lost more games than Tottenham this season. There's an issue there, there's a problem there. He's bang under pressure. When the cameras start turning on Daniel Levy, as we said, we know what happens. But the fact that he's in the EFL Cup semi-final against Liverpool, the FA Cup they got through, the Europa League and the Premier League, they're still in with an outside chance of Europe. If and when they go to Anfield, if they get knocked out of the EFL Cup, the FA Cup they get knocked out of away at Aston Villa, that's no formality by the way, that's a really tough game for them. The Europa League they're doing well in if they progress in that. But those, as we know, 2 or 3 weeks in football is a long time. If those competitions all of a sudden get taken away and Tottenham are still in 15th with a fourth worst defeats record in the league, he's bang under pressure. But then is it too late? Are you closing the door when the horse is bolted? Do you change now while you've still got an opportunity in those competitions? Or it's a quiet window. I know we're going to talk about the transfers. Give the manager, if you're backing the manager and you believe what the manager's doing and you want to stick with the style of play he wants, give him the players to be able to do it. Because at the moment he hasn't got the players. He's stubborn. He's sticking to what he does in the same way as that Amaron at Manchester United. I'm playing this formation. I don't care what anyone says. This is the way we're playing and I'm doing it. Whether I've got the personnel or not, this is what we're doing. So if they're going to back him to do that, they've got to give him the players to do it.
And Paul, could we see a similar situation to what happened with Mourinho, where he was sacked just a couple of days before a League Cup final, and a young new manager having to come in and manage that day, or Daniel Levy's learned from his mistakes?
I don't think he's learned from his mistakes. He's not afraid to make decisions. I don't think you ask him whether it was a mistake or not. He felt the manager needed to go at that time. As we've seen in the past, no manager's bigger than Tottenham. Daniel's been criticised for what he's done in the past, but actually I think the criticism you can level at him is the investment into the playing side, the top level players. But actually, when you look at the management appointments, Nuno Espirito de Santo at the time, wrong man at the wrong time. You look at what he's doing now, he's an excellent manager. All of a sudden, you want a win-now manager. Tottenham want to win a trophy. Tottenham need to win a trophy. We need European football. You get Jose Mourinho, you get Antonio Conte. 2 win-now proven top managers. They couldn't stick it out. They didn't get the players and the personnel that they wanted. They couldn't do it in that win-now instance. So then you get Ange Postecoglou, you're buying into what he does. You need to, if you're going to back him and build around him, you give him time. But actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they sack him, because Daniel Levy's not afraid of making those big decisions. He really isn't.
They've got some winnable games coming up, though.
Yeah.
I think Hoffenheim, they could get a result there in the Europa League. Leicester at home on Sunday's a huge game in the Premier League. Then they've got Elfsborg and Brentford away before that second leg against Liverpool. So things could be very different in a couple of weeks. But again, it could be really bang under the pressure if he doesn't get results in those upcoming games as well. But that's the life as a manager. You just have to get on with it despite all the injuries. And he's got to do his best now and put out a team which he feels can get results for Tottenham.
I think the frustrating thing for the fans is that the fans that are paying the hard-earned money, travelling the length and breadth of the country to watch the team, the Tottenham fans are educated. They will sit there and watch the game. They can see what's going wrong. They know every week how they're going to concede goals, why they're conceding goals, and the way that they're playing. You want to play a certain way. You want to play an attractive style of football, an attacking style of football, but not to the detriment of the football club. I mean, being the lowest ranked team in London in the Premier League, 15th, it's not good enough for where Tottenham want to be. There has to be a time where you've got to be adaptable. You've got to stop doing the same basic errors and playing the same way that's costing you week in and week out. Short term, plug the gap, get some results, hold on until your players are back fit again, and then play the way that you want to play when you've got the players available to do it. You're in a results business. You can't just keep going down a blind alley playing the same way when you're getting caught every week. And then the flip side of that, he'll turn around and say, well, we beat both Manchester clubs in the EFL Cup, we beat Liverpool at home. We've got these results playing that way, but it's not consistent.
And Pete, last week we spoke about Milan Skriniar as a possible new center back, somebody who seemed available, who seemed to be the right age, who seemed to be all the kind of the right things to fit in at Tottenham, but he's gone to Fenerbahce. Who's next on the list at center back? Because we're all talking about it over and over with Ange. He needs a center back.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It doesn't seem it's a priority though for Tottenham. It seems that the Ange Postecoglou and the recruitment team are pushing to bring in a new forward rather than a centre back, which sounds very strange considering all Tottenham's defensive problems. They haven't had any problems scoring goals this season. It's been at the other end, keeping clean sheets. But obviously, Skriniar was one option because he was out of favour at PSG, but he's made the move to Fenerbahce. There's been links with Piero Henkapi from Bayer Leverkusen. I don't see how they could do that deal in January. I don't see the German club letting him leave, or the player probably being open to leaving midway through the season as well. Tomori at AC Milan is another name that's been mentioned with Tottenham. Again, it looks another difficult deal to do because he's won his place back in that Milan team recently under Conceição. So, yeah, I don't know. Tottenham, obviously, looking from the outside, you think they need to bring in a new centre-half, but I don't think they'll go and do something if they don't think the right players are. And Romero is back in light training, hoping to be back soon. Ben Davies has returned recently as well. So, obviously, that gives Ange a few more options in centre back, and it does seem that the club are pursuing strikers rather than defenders right now.
But the thing is with Skriniar as well, were Spurs even at the table? That's a player that was available, a top class centre half, and he's gone to Fenerbahce. No disrespect to Fenerbahce. Listen, I've seen them in Europe this season under Jose. I've been over there, watched Manchester United play over there, and they're a big club in Turkey. They'll pay decent wages, but it's the Premier League. It's Tottenham Hotspur. The wages he could have got, playing in the Premier League at Tottenham. It makes me wonder: did he actually have a decision to make? Were Tottenham even were they sat in the room saying, we want you, we want this player. These are the type of players we want. It wouldn't surprise me if they weren't. I mean, to lose a player of his quality to Fenerbahce, to the Turkish league, that shouldn't happen. If indeed they actually wanted him, which again suggests to me they didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything was advanced with Skriniar. As you said, he would have had a difficult decision to make there. Obviously, he was on the list of potential centre-backs who were available this month, but Tottenham have decided not to go for it, and he ends up going to Turkey.
And Paul, do you think Tottenham could actually let Richarlison leave this window? I know they've been linked over and over again with tons of wingers, and we're going back and forth on how it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if they are going to bring in a winger, do you see Richarlison being someone they might let leave this window?
That may be why they're linked to so many other players, because if they are going to let Richarlison go, but I think they're obviously going to take a hit on the 50 million, whatever it was that they paid for him. They're not going to get that back for him. My personal opinion, I'd like to see him stay. I like what he does. I like what he brings. His attitude, his application, his commitment. The end product might not be there always with whether it's assists or goals or whatever it is. But I think what you get from the player every time he comes on the pitch, you're taking a chance on bringing somebody else in. Has it worked for him at Tottenham? The overall report, no, it probably hasn't. His injuries have hampered him. He's been a victim of being able to play in numerous positions. He played as a 9 when Harry Kane left. Plays out wide right, plays wide left, plays as a 10, and his versatility has probably cost him because the team rotation, it's easy to rotate him in and out. So his time at Tottenham probably hasn't worked, but unless you're going to bring him better, there's no reason to let him go. I like him. I think his attitude, and you can see what playing for any club that he plays for means to him. And he's one of them players that you love as a home fan, and every away team hates him. And I think he's good to have on your side. He's good to have in the trenches.